Have you ever wondered why white women chose to sexually abuse their black male slaves? Perhaps some of them were simply bored or sexually frustrated. But perhaps, at least on a subconscious level, sexually exploiting slaves was a means of compensating for their lack of power in other aspects of their lives. In private, many plantation women were unhappy with their lack of freedom and the expectation that they remain dutiful, obedient, pleasant, and cheerful, while their husbands had affairs with or raped female slaves. Knowing that the mixed-race slave children who surrounded them were their husbands' offspring was both humiliating and heartbreaking. The motivations behind these actions likely varied. Some mistresses may have seen their actions as expressions of dominance and control, using their position to exert power over individuals who were legally and socially considered property. It is possible that others may have acted out of a sense of entitlement or desire for sexual gratification. In some instances, white mistresses took advantage of their husband's absence to exert power and control over black male slaves. Were these men allowed to resist?
They dare not. Any enslaved man who resisted the sexual advances of plantation mistresses risked punishment, physical abuse, or even further degradation. Slave owners and their families held significant power over enslaved individuals, and resistance to their desires was seen as a challenge to their authority. As such, punishments for resistance could include physical violence, such as whippings or other forms of brutal punishment. Enslaved individuals could also face other forms of retribution, including being sold away from their families or at least subjected to harsher working conditions. The fear of such consequences often compelled enslaved men to comply with the demands of their owners or mistresses, even in situations of sexual assault. Life became very difficult for male slaves, especially because regardless of the specific circumstances, a male slave who was caught in bed with a plantation mistress by the mistress's husband would as well likely face severe consequences as in the context of slavery. Sexual relationships between white women and black men were viewed as a violation of social and racial boundaries. The ideology of white supremacy permeated society, and such relationships were often considered taboo and deeply threatening to the existing power dynamics, but yet they will still face punishment if they disobeyed the white mistresses by resisting. The consequences for the male slave involved in such a relationship would also be severe. He could face physical punishment, such as whippings or other forms of brutal treatment. Additionally, he might be sold away from his community, separated from his family and loved ones, or subjected to even harsher working conditions as a means of punishment or control. Understanding and acknowledging the historical injustices and the deeply ingrained racism and discrimination is vital to fostering a more inclusive and equitable society today. We must continue to challenge and dismantle the harmful ideologies and systems that perpetuate inequality based on race and gender. Thank you for watching.